Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I'm your host, Kendall.
And I'm juliarene.
And today we are talking about post-show blues.
And also, speaking of blues, this is the last episode of the bodybuilding basics series.
Of the whole podcast.
The podcast is just abruptly ending.
I'm really excited for our next series, though. I know we're not going to talk about it yet, but you'll see next week, and I am genuinely very excited about it.
I'm a fan of the series.
Yeah, it's fun. I feel like it gives us an umbrella topic to then talk about. I guess I don't know. I think it's fun. Hopefully you guys like it too. But today we're talking about post-show blues, and I know we've done a few episodes kind of talking about how it feels post-show, and then I think we did one that was fully about reverse dieting. So we've talked on this topic a little bit, but today we're kind of going over it because if you listen to last week's episode, that was talking about show day, and obviously show day is you're riding a whole lot of highs. You've been working months for this one specific moment and day. So the weeks and days following that can sometimes not be quite as glamorous or pretty, and I feel like it's important to talk about,
especially if you do the biggest mistake that I made and was literally put everything, your whole life, your relationships on the line, your happiness, all centered towards that one day. Mm-hmm. Your post-show blues are going to hit the next day. I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm just saying don't be me.
Yeah, no, I do think it's most people though. The first thing I have written is mentally, again, you've been working months towards this one day. Once that day is over, it's obviously hard to be well, now what? Now I don't have anything to work towards. Now now all of that, like you said, that thing that my entire universe is surrounding is gone. What am I supposed to do? So that's normal, first off. Most people experience that, at least to some degree. Sometimes it's the day after the show. Sometimes it's a few weeks later. I've even had it hit me several months later where I will be good about everything post-show and I'm doing really well. And one day it catches up and I'm
exactly.
What's my purpose now? So that's completely normal. That is the fully first thing we're even talking about. So I think what to talk about instead of just being you're going to get sad and live with it. We're going to give you a few tips of at least things we do to help now that we've lived through that, learn from our mistakes. My biggest tip for combating that feeling of almost having no purpose right after a show is to immediately set a new goal.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be because I have done this too, where you chase goals over and over and over and over again to the point where if you don't have a goal, you feel like there's nothing to you, which also is a slippery slope. So when we're talking about setting new goals, it's even just strength goals.
Yeah.
You don't have to set another shred goal. You don't have to you don't have to set another, I don't know, some sort of physique goal. And again, your body is healing. This is a really awesome time for your body to heal, for you to figure out how to be a human in regular life again. And your whole life doesn't have to revolve around the gym and when you're eating your meals. So setting smaller goals, okay, I'm in a strength season. Let's see how much strength I can build in this off season because now I get food.
Yeah. I completely agree. I usually set a new squat goal or deadlift goal, just something tangible, because then that keeps your focus on something other than how your physique is looking. Yes. And we're going to talk about it more and more because basically a lot of the issue with post-show is just body dysmorphia. Your body is changing a lot. Change it for the better. Focus on something still positive instead of letting any changes, I guess, defer you from what you've been working towards. So yeah, just set new goals. I usually do a strength goal. I know a lot of competitors that will plan a vacation, a celebratory vacation a few weeks after their show.
That's awesome.
I feel that's really good because that keeps you in the mindset of okay, it's going to be a lot easier to okay to my reverse diet for 3 weeks and then go and enjoy my vacation, come back and I feel it's easier to go back to a plan versus being okay, well, I want to celebrate, but I also don't want to quote unquote ruin my progress. I feel that's a slippery slope also. So
definitely.
That's the first thing. Second, we're going to talk about more of the physical changes post-show, which again, obviously lead to mental changes, but just a few facts to help you, I guess, feel more normal if you're watching this post-show or if you're just preparing to be for a show. First off, maintaining your show day weight and leanness, impossible.
Yeah, give it up. Nope, not happening. It's not happening. You don't want that to be the case.
No, that is so unhealthy. You're so frail at that point. Your hormones are like barely functioning at that point. Like, it's so easy to be in the moment and be like, but I love having an 8-pack. It's like, okay, but
do you love feeling like what it feels to
like
have an
crap?
8-pack?
I'm like, no.
No.
So something to remember, you're not going to maintain it. Like, as you're approaching show, you're going to be like getting used to seeing yourself in a certain light. After the show, you're going to change, and that's a good thing. Yeah. So embrace that change.
Yeah. And one thing that will happen to like your body here, not only like the way that it looks, but the way that it like feels. Mm-hmm. So for example, like obviously you look amazing on show day, you're so lean and like all this muscle and stuff like that. And then you have a post-show meal. Maybe you wake up the next morning and have breakfast with pancakes. That's my favorite thing to do is like post-show meal, pancakes and breakfast. And then we
most people like
get back.
Feel that they look even better that next day once you have carbs in your system too.
Yeah, because your body is like chill. Like you finally have like relaxed a little bit. And you're the jitters from the stage are gone, and you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna chill and I'm gonna eat, and maybe I work out and maybe I don't. Mm-hmm. But if you continue that pattern of eating for like a week, which most people do, like they'll go on and off their meal plan and have like those things that they didn't have. Maybe they have like pizza one day, a burgers the other day or whatever. So some people will do it for like a full week before getting back on track, especially if you don't have a show or anything that you have to do afterwards. Like that's totally fine. But what happens here is your body is not used to the salt. It's not used to the fat. It's not used to the processed foods. So you're probably going to look super watery. And basically what that means is like, just imagine like a layer of like water over your body and how it looks like liquidy. Your lines aren't as sharp, and you probably are bloated. And there's a chance that you'll gain like 5+ pounds in that 1 week. And this is where people freak the fuck out.
Me included.
Yeah, and they think that, oh my God, like I just gained 10 actual pounds and it's going to stay there. That's not the case. It will stay there if you continue to eat in the pattern that you're eating and not get back on track and stop lifting and stop doing your cardio. But if you say you eat like that for a week and then you're like, okay, I'm getting back on track. If you just get back on track with your meal plans, your body is going to slowly go back to normal. Yeah. Which is where people not mess up and they just like, oh, it's all down the toilet. I might as well just
That's what happens to me. Not every year. Every show I've done has been completely different post-show, but every single year I have called someone in my family and cried about ruining all my progress. Yes. Like a week after show, my face changes so much because I feel like I have like a lot of bone structure in my face. So when I'm really lean, like I'm super, like my jawline could like cut a person. Yeah. And then obviously that's like not my normal. So as soon as my face starts to fill out again, I freak out.
And that's
every
from the
year.
Salt.
Yeah.
It's literally from salt, because especially if you're doing salt manipulation and water manipulation, once you implement more salt into your body, anything into your body that wasn't there for a while, of course you're going to have a reaction to it. It's like if you're allergic to something and you have it, you're going to have allergic reaction to it. Yeah. You know, your body is going to swell up with like the salt and your face might get a little bit puffy, but if you just get back on track, it'll slowly start, the weight will start to come off and you'll go back to like a new normal, I guess.
I think it's easy to forget, or if it's like your first show ever, you don't even know what to expect and you assume that's body fat because you're looking softer and the scale is going up. And I feel like seeing that combination like definitely makes it hard to be like, this is temporary. It's like, it feels like your world is crumbling. You just worked so many months on something. So that's definitely like trigger warning, because we talk about eating disorders a lot on this podcast, but that's like when I fell into binge eating after my last show, was because I got into the mindset of this is irreversible. Yeah. So what's the point? Yeah. Like why even try?
I might as well just keep eating whatever I want and like not really training anymore.
So just a reminder to anyone listening, also, like I know I would watch podcasts and they would be like, you're good if you do it for a week and then get on track. And I'd be like, but it's been 2 weeks. So now I actually did ruin it.
But I'm different. It's been 2 weeks. Yeah. We're over it, but it's been 3. Like you can always
You can always get back on track.
Yeah, you can always get back on track. It doesn't matter like how far gone you think that you are.
Yeah.
You can always get back on track at no matter what age. Like I'm currently working with a lady who's like 58 years old in my program, and it's never too late. Like it doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter. You can always get back on track.
Amen. Yes.
Amen.
And then something along with that to add is your hunger levels. What did you call it? That
ghrelin.
Your ghrelin, which is your like hunger hormone, right?
Yes.
Is it a hormone? Is all out of whack.
For
so
sure.
you actually are going to be a lot hungrier. You're not going to feel that like satiated fullness quite as easily. And you're going to have really intense cravings because you just deprived yourself for months. If you think about it in like a very general sense, your body doesn't know you were going through a prep. Your body thinks you were just unintentionally starving. So now it's getting food. It has the resources to have the food. So it's really easy to like fall into those. A tip I have for that one, combating that one, is give into your cravings to a degree. Because if you keep going, okay, all I want is chocolate, so I'm going to have a chocolate protein shake, chocolate rice cakes. Nothing is filling the need of, I just want like a handful of M&Ms. When you finally give into that craving, you're going to have like 2 bags of M&Ms instead of just having like that little bit that your body actually wants. So give into your cravings, obviously within reason. Like you don't want to feel like you completely go off track, but like Julia said, like enjoy that first like week post show. Like have some of the things you've been thinking about the entire show journey.
Yes, exactly. That's what that week is for me. I'm like, I can have a piece of pizza. I can have a burger. I can have my Ben and Jerry's.
We did really, when we did nationals together, we did well because I think we got like a little of everything.
Yeah, we went to the gas station.
Yeah.
And saw
That's my
creepy
favorite
guy.
thing to
do. You remember that creepy guy?
Yes.
Guys.
Is that when we saw him? I feel like
it was when we were literally post show, and like, guys, this story is so creepy.
First off, to build context, we were in a very sketchy neighborhood.
Yeah, the Airbnb definitely tricked us.
Like Zach filmed a video for his Instagram, I think.
Yeah.
And in the background there were gunshots.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
It was insane.
So sketchy. This was in South Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we went to get like snackies because there wasn't really any, like it was so late at that time, there wasn't really anywhere we could go, I think. So we went to the gas station, which was like right around the corner. And Kendall and I are like checking out. We have like ice cream and we have like our little chips or something that we've been wanting, like sweet and savory. And there's this guy. He's not getting anything.
Such a weird
He's not
vibe.
In line, but he's staring.
No, he worked there.
He didn't work there.
Yes.
He did?
He was our cashier. I swear.
I thought he was standing behind us staring at us.
No, he was like watching us in the store, but he was the cashier, and then he was being so weird when we checked out. You checked out first, and you came over to me, and I remember you were like, can we please go?
Yeah,
because he's
so
giving me bad vibes. And I was like, okay. So then I went and checked out with him, and I was like, yeah, bad vibes. And then we thought he was going to follow us home.
Yeah, it was scary. We were like, skeet out of there. And we were like only like living or staying right around the corner. And I was like, because it was a stare.
No,
it
like hair in his face, like staring through the eyebrows, like scary movie
It was
stare.
the look down.
Oh God, what a
chin
weirdo.
down, eyes up stare.
He'd make a great like serial. I can't talk right now. Serious.
I'm a
serial killer in like a movie.
Also,
that's the vibe he gave.
When I was younger, I used to spell cereal, like the cereal you.
a serial killer.
Yeah. I'm a serial killer if it spells like cereal.
Me too.
Anyways.
I don't even know where we were. Basically.
We were talking about getting hungry after the show.
Yeah.
Like, this is so normal. The thing that I really make sure that I do, and look, I'm not always perfect at this, definitely not, but you have to be very, very conscious and aware when you're eating after your show. Because when you're eating, getting ready for the show, it kind of just becomes unconscious. Like, you just make your meals, you just eat them, you just do what you have to do. But after the show, when there's nothing to follow and you really don't have to follow a meal plan and it's just kind of, free fall, like you can have all these things now that you weren't able to have earlier, you have to be super, super present with yourself when you're choosing the foods that you're choosing. Because what happens here is you end up blacking out and you end up eating so much, like you were saying about the M&Ms, like you just crave, and you don't give in to even anything at all. And then you just blow out and have like some sort of binge episode. So when you're eating slower, being intentional, sitting there and being like, okay, I'm taking this bite. How does this feel? How does it feel in my stomach? One thing that I do is like, I'll put my hand on my stomach if this is something that you're comfortable with doing.
I've told Julia like this would have triggered me.
Yeah.
Like at the height of my eating disorder, but like now I definitely could do this.
Yeah. You can either put it on like your stomach to feel fullness, or your heart to feel like how like a check-in. How am I actually
You're
feeling?
just kind of centering yourself.
Yeah, and just give yourself a scale of 1 to 10 of how full you are. 1 being like starving, 10 being I'm stuffed. When we're eating, we never want to actually get to a 10. We want to get to like a 7 or an 8 where we're like satisfied.
Yeah.
And satisfied, you know exactly what that feels like. And stuffed, you know exactly what that feels like. It's uncomfortable. Your stomach hurts. Maybe even like you want to lay down, like all of those things.
I've gotten to the point where I like can't walk.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
For sure.
But I think that's like such a good tip, because a lot of when I at least experience like binging post show, I swear I like blacked out every time. I wasn't present.
That wasn't me.
Yeah.
I didn't eat that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of those things, like another tip for this is just to talk about it with someone, with anyone, even if it's like reaching out to us. Like we try to answer like majority of our DMs at least, especially if it's about a matter like this. But sincerely, like I couldn't even talk to Julie about it because I was like terrified and I didn't know what was happening. And I was like stuck in this loop of like feeling terrible about myself, beating myself up for it, but like still doing it and creating even worse habits. And I literally hired a therapist just to help me have an outlet to talk to.
Yeah.
And all you need sometimes is to hear that like what you're experiencing is like normal after what you just went through.
Yeah.
And I feel like that alone can help. I'm probably going to add them to the description, but there's like 1 or 2 books that I've read about, like we've done a full episode on like binge eating, but seriously, it's so common post show. And there's 2 books that I recommend about like self-help to get out of that mindset. But obviously if you can prevent it, that's kind of why we talk about it so much, is like you can set yourself up for success by like knowing what to expect, preparing ahead of time, like little things like having that, why can't I think of the word? Hold on. It's written.
A support group?
No. Reverse diet.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word. Yeah. Having a reverse diet in place before your show even ends will help you at least have somewhat of a plan post-show, because like we said, if you kind of go in blind and you're like, well, I can have anything now, you're going to give into that more and more over time.
Yeah, because you have no plan whatsoever.
Yeah.
And if you don't plan, you're so much easier to just go off the rails because there's nothing that's telling you to do anything different.
Yeah.
That's why I keep my coach all year long, because he is my account. And look, I know that a lot of people can't do this, but I know myself and I need that accountability in the off season to continue to push, to do strength goals, to stay on track with a meal plan and have some free meals whenever, I feel like my body needs it. And that's something that has been a game changer for me in the off season, is just sticking with my coach year round so that I have that accountability.
Yeah. I think that's super important. If you can afford it, I would 100% keep your coach. And then that's also another person. If you don't have maybe like friends you feel comfortable talking about, like, hey, I'm having body dysmorphia, or like, hey, I'm creating bad eating habits. That's someone you can like fully trust to tell, and they'll actually make a like step-by-step on how to help you, instead of just being like, oh, that sucks, I'm sorry. So it's a really good person to have.
Some coaches don't really know how to deal with that.
That is true.
I've gotten a lot of people that message me and they're like, my coach doesn't seem to care, and they'll message me instead of their coach because I've actually like been through it. And there's part of bodybuilding. There's the part of bodybuilding, which I feel like is the majority of it, where it's just like, just suck it up and just do it. Because maybe they haven't actually experienced it before. So all they can say is just try harder. And it's like, you don't understand like I am. And sometimes it feels like someone's taking over my brain.
Yeah.
But
if you've never experienced it, it's hard to give advice for.
Yeah. It's hard to just empathize.
Do you still do the binge support group?
No, I don't.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was going to plug it. So yeah, that's most of like the physical. Another thing, I know we're like kind of saying like how to combat everything as we talk about it, but another thing that you can use to combat is to, again, focus on strength, but in the sense of like, you're going to be in a sensitive time, meaning like you're obviously gaining a lot of water weight. You are going to gain body fat. Again, we talked about it. It's normal. It's healthy. You want to, but your body's also like super sensitive to gaining muscle at this time.
Yeah.
So like the few weeks post show, especially if you're eating more,
it's like that month after that you're you're like fucking strong.
Yes. And like actually putting on muscle mass, like you can make a lot of improvements in that little period. So I feel like that's like another motivator to not only stay on track, but also if you did eat like a lot off of your reverse diet plan, use it. Like use it in the gym.
Use that for energy. PR on some squats, and it's going to feel really good because you leading up to your show, like you really don't have much to give when you're training.
Those last like 2 weeks, you barely work out.
You're just pumping things up. And then once you have some fuel in your body, you're like, oh my God, I can finally do 2 plates again on a squat or 3 plates, whatever it might be. And it feels super good and it's very motivating. But if you don't stick to going to the gym, then all those gains gonna be lost.
Exactly. And again, nothing is irreversible. Yes. So just get back on your plan when you can, when you are ready to. Yes. The sooner the better, obviously. So if you're already planning for post-show, like obviously try to have like a few days of enjoying yourself and then getting on your reverse diet plan or whatever that looks like for you. That's most of like the physical. I want to talk about just some like other tips to combat like body dysmorphia and negative eating habits. There's a lot. And if you have any like personal tips, you can add yours. One of my top ones, again, if you're still working with a coach post-show and that's someone you can like confide in and trust, which you should. I think that's a bad sign if you don't trust your coach. Sure. For me personally, like doing check-ins, like my weight, my photos, my measurements, like for a few weeks post-show is really hard. Yeah. Like it's hard seeing all of your numbers increase. I definitely sit there and start comparing my photos and being like, again, like I lost everything. It's like, no, you didn't. You're just like a little watery.
That last week and this week I look like this.
Exactly. And guess what? You're going to look back on that like post-show photo months later and be like, I looked amazing. What is wrong with me? So, but that's something to talk about with your coach. If weighing yourself is like triggering you to have really negative thoughts, or if taking those photos are giving you really negative thoughts, that's something to just bring up and be like, hey, maybe can I like skip a week, or can I just do my weight and not do the photos, or whatever you feel like would be best, or just hear their recommendations out. But definitely doing all of that post-show has always been hard for me, even when I've had like a good post-show relationship, I guess.
Even having like the smallest thing of keeping your scale hidden so you don't see it. Like the only time that I take my scale out a week is on my check-in day. And then I put it back immediately, hidden from view, because what you see, especially this goes for like food and the scale, but if you see it, you are going to either step on the scale or you're going to eat it. So having all of these things around you is going to be for sure triggering for you. So, and just refrain from the constant looks in the mirror, because you're going to want to look in the mirror and pick at your body and turn around and be like, there's a roll back here. I look watery. Just refrain from doing that for a couple of weeks and it will really, really help. Just get dressed. Don't really look at yourself in the mirror. Just be very neutral about like what you're seeing in the mirror and not negative. Yeah. You know, sometimes it's hard to be like super positive. And one thing that I do is I'm just neutral. Yeah. Like I'm not saying I look the worst, and I'm not saying like you're the sexiest woman alive. Like I might not have the confidence then to do that. Yeah. But I'm just like, you're doing it, girl. You're doing the thing. You just did something really, really hard, and your body is recovering from it. So let it do that. So
it's self-acceptance more than anything else. Just like looking at yourself, whatever stage you're in, and being like, okay, accept me as this.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Like you're not going to change anything overnight. You're not going to get show ready in a day, obviously. That kind of goes into my next one with body checking. Like try to just refrain as much as you can. Sometimes you need reminders. Like I know Julia's always been a big like sticky note person, with just reminders to like, maybe you don't have to look in the mirror. Yeah. I'm such an obsessive with my stomach still. Like I am years post show. I pinch at my stomach at least twice a day. Yeah. I flex my abs that I don't have right now at least twice a day. Like every mirror I walk past, I have to lift my shirt. And I don't know what my problem is. I'm definitely like that guy. But yeah, that's one of those things to just try not to do as often post show, because it's easy to be like, when I'm leading into a show and I'm like, I have an 8-pack and I'm constantly checking it. It gives me that like little bit of dopamine.
Yeah, you're like, okay, we're doing it. Like we're looking better. It's working.
And then post-show, you do the same thing and you don't get that dopamine, and it feels like such a disappointment almost. So like, why do that to yourself? Just avoid it. I'm a big advocate. Every time I ever have body dysmorphia, post-show or not, big t-shirts.
Big t-shirt day.
Big t-shirts, maybe some leggings even if you're holding water in your legs. Like, it's really that simple. Just for like a few weeks post show until things start to regulate, and then you'll start feeling like yourself again.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like there's nothing wrong with wearing as little as you want to the gym.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with wearing the most to the gym. Whatever you feel comfortable with. And eventually, like you'll start feeling more like yourself again, and then you'll be able to choose outfits that you feel confident in, that maybe show a little bit more, or even still show a little bit less, or some colors that are like bright and you don't want attention to yourself. Whatever it is, you do what you got to do.
Yeah. I was just going to add, like, there's definitely people out there that like don't experience anything negative post show. And like, I wish I was that person,
Same.
but we're also not like saying all of this to be like, you're gonna feel this way. It's just like, I think it's better to have that expectation. And if you don't, that's so good. Like, I am proud of you.
If you don't, I want to know how. I want to know why.
Exactly.
And I'm happy for you.
I've even had like guys reach out though. Every time I've talked about like post show and body dysmorphia, and they've been like, I experienced this, but not a lot of guys talk about it. So like, just a reminder for the men out there, like this is not just for the woman listening. Like this can pertain to anyone through any cutting phase. It doesn't even have to be a show.
You don't have to be Mr. Macho Man all the time. It's okay to feel things.
Yes, exactly.
It's okay.
The next little tip, again, is just like following a reverse diet or a plan and giving into cravings as you have them to a certain degree. Most people in their reverse diet schedule in cheat meals, usually like once or twice a week. If you have something you're like really craving before then, like I said, like just have that like one piece of it instead of being like, oh, I'm going to like push it back, because then that cheat meal will come and you'll definitely like go more overboard than you would have if you had just like had what you wanted. And then to the last one, again, talk to people, talk to anyone. That could be friends, that could be family, that could be your coach, a therapist, a support group. Reach out to us if you have literally nobody else. Like, yes, anyone that can relate. I always, when I first started competing, just because I was like in high school still and no one in my high school even like remotely understood what I was doing, I found like some other girls online like around my age that were also competing, and like I would just reach out to them and be like, hey,
is this normal?
Yeah, like did you also feel like shit after your show? Just like little things to like, just reminders that what you're going through like isn't abnormal. And you could always come back and listen to this and hear us be like, yes, we both dealt with that. Like we went through that, and it's gonna be okay. I promise. It is not the end of the world that you're gaining weight after a show. If anything, it's like super healthy for you. And also I feel like, I didn't really talk about it before, but I feel like you can get like post-show depression or blues regardless.
I've gotten that bad.
Exactly. And it's regardless of your placement. I've won.
I've won twice and was depressed for months.
And exactly. So don't think it has anything tied to like your placement. Like if anything, I think I was happier post-show when I didn't win.
You're like, that's less pressure on me.
Exactly. But like when I felt like when I won, again, yes, what you said, like pressure, I immediately was like, well, now like people are going to have expectations. So then that's like just an added factor of like stress. But you're going to be okay. I promise. Be patient. Reach out to people if you do really need help. And just, I feel like take it day by day, do it what you can to get back on track.
Yeah. And the biggest, I guess, falsity is that you're alone. That's one of the biggest reasons why people don't reach out, because they're feeling shameful. They're feeling some sort of guilt, like some remorse about like what's happening. And they feel like you feel like you're the only one. And trust me, you were not the only one. When I was struggling with it the most, like post show, I got super, super depressed. I won 2 shows back to back. And then I just like crashed. That's when I found out that I had a binge eating disorder from the age of 15 until I realized that at maybe 22. And once I was meditating and I didn't really have any inspiration for content because I was done competing. I was like, I feel like I don't know what to post. Like I don't feel very motivated right now. And one thing that was said to me in the meditation was share your struggles with your binge eating disorder. And I said no to it like 3 times, but it kept popping up in my head. And I was like, okay, fine. So the next day I came out about it, and it was like, can you believe that like someone who's won these 2 shows struggles with this, this, and this? Because people think that just because like you win a couple shows, your body looks good, that there's nothing wrong with you. And most of the time people are just hiding it.
Reminder, social media is the fakest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's never it's never what it seems like. Like we said in a previous one, there's people on the Olympia stage that are editing their pictures.
Yeah.
And they're literally the top 5 in the world.
Yeah,
the world
insane.
has told them that they have the best physique in the world, but it's still not enough.
Yeah.
So just know the biggest falsity is that you're never alone.
Yes.
And sharing it with somebody that you trust and that you love is probably one of the best things that you can do, because then when you're feeling low, you could be like, yo, I need some help. It's that there's no shame in asking for help.
And I feel like, again, kind of like we've talked about a lot with bodybuilding, you can't expect your friends and family to like understand because what you're going through, because they never went through it. Like they have never done bodybuilding. So just like explain to them. My mom is a very like hard-headed, like it's in your head, get over it, like type of woman. And I explained it. She was the person I like confided in about my binge eating. And I was like, hey, like these are kind of what I need you to tell me when I call you about these problems.
Exactly.
Like you need to be like the voice for yourself and like tell the people around you what you need. Like you're still allowed to be selfish. You're still allowed to like to ask for help. Like, that's
one thing
super important.
That like brings up a huge thing for me, because literally six months out of the year, I'm preparing for a competition. So my family knows like not to offer me things, not to do any of that, which is really awesome now that they have been trained. We've coached them to like help us.
Exactly.
Like I was with my parents eating, and my dad like offered me something to eat, and my dad always just forgets because he's silly. He's very supportive, but he just forgets because he eats anything and doesn't gain weight. And my mom's like, don't ask her that. And he goes, oh, okay. I'm sorry. But the thing is that afterwards, what happens is you still get a lot of comments about what you can eat. And most of the time it will come from like, they're not really sure. They're like, are you on prep? Like, what are you doing? Oh, you might even get you're eating a burger.
Literally.
Oh, you're eating ice cream.
I hate that time.
It can be very, very triggering. Like I even went to go and eat with my family, and I was drinking like a Diet Coke, which has 0 calories or whatever. And my uncle was like, I can't, you drank that? You would drink that? You drink 0? And I was just like, out of all of the healthy shit that I do and how much I take care of myself, you're going to comment about a 0-calorie drink that I'm having. So it can be really triggering on season and in off season.
It makes your guilt worse. Like even if you're not guilty for eating something, you're like, oh, I deserve to eat this.
What makes you think that you should be guilty about it?
Exactly.
And you're like, and then you start to question.
Such a good point. That's, that happens every single show.
Yes.
And it's sometimes like, even in prep, sometimes like I'll have a cheat meal or like a refeed meal while I'm still like a good amount of weeks out. And definitely whoever I'm with having that refeed.
Can have that?
Oh, like, isn't that going to ruin your progress? Like always something.
Yes.
So and definitely prepare yourself for that too.
I'm so fragile right now. And that just, so I used to not say anything about it, but once I moved, I know what to say to my family when I'm going into season. I've mastered that. But going into the off season, I haven't quite mastered communicating that yet. But like some tips that I'm going to implement even this year is just don't comment about my food.
Yeah.
Like if I'm eating something that's like quote unquote unhealthy, don't make any comments about it, because, and I tell them why. This is how it makes me feel. I've worked so hard for like this physique, and I've really put so much time into like developing as a person and in my physical, that me eating this shouldn't be like a big deal. And when people make a big deal about it, it makes me think that I have to make a big deal about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then just explaining like why, and it makes me feel XYZ. Then they're educate them.
Yeah. I don't think it's ever like malicious or intentional. I think like they're either making jokes or they genuinely don't know. Like
they genuinely are like, okay, wait, where do we, are we eating or are we not?
Exactly.
So just open communication on like what you're doing.
Agreed.
Yeah. And my mom's always like more happy when I am able to eat, because like I get to a certain point where I'm so thin, and she's like, you look so tired. And I'm like, I know. And like the Mexican mom in her is like, I need to feed you.
My mom's the opposite, which is why post show is hard for us. Because she's like, wait, you look so good. Like, why would you change? And I'm like, I'm not healthy. Like I'm not maintainable right now.
Yeah. It's also the comments about like, you look so skinny. Like we need to reframe that.
I feel like we're going to kind of be the generation to teach our kids, like, just don't comment on people's bodies or what they're doing or their food. Like, you can focus on someone's personality more than, like, how they look.
You look amazing today. You're glowing today. It doesn't matter, like, oh my God, like your abs look tighter. Unless like for me, it's like bodybuilding, because I go to the bodybuilding. I will
be like, your quads are looking pretty insane.
Especially when you're competing is kind of nice, because they're like, bro, you're looking shredded. Usually they just say like, you're looking great. You're doing a lot of encouragement, like you're doing great. But it can also be really hard off season when you start to see your body change, and like people are like, wait. You don't have a 24-inch waist anymore?
Yeah,
You don't blow away when the wind blows?
On that note, I think we're done.
Yeah, we're done. I'm sweating my ass off. Anyways, yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is the last episode of the Bodybuilding Basics series. But next Monday, I know, an era. It's the end of an era. We'll introduce our new series, and this one's going to be so incredible and covered.
I'm excited for this one. I feel like I need to hear all the episodes we're about to do.
She's going to be the queen of this series for sure.
I hope so.
All right, guys. We love you all so much, and you are more powerful than you think.
Bye.